this is my mama's recipe. My maiden name is Benefield, and she named it Benefield chicken. Hey y'all, it's Tammy with Collard Valley Cooks, and tonight we're making an old favorite, family favorite. It's called Benefield chicken. You boil the chicken, and I put an onion and celery in the broth while I'm boiling the chicken, and I put 1 clove of garlic and smash it. Now you don't have to do that, it's not in my actual recipe in the recipe book, but if you don't do that, you can put in some garlic salt. So I'm cutting up potatoes like you would for a roast, putting them in the broth, and you're going to want your carrots pretty thin so that they get done at the same amount of time that the potatoes do. So you put in carrots and potatoes. So don't put a real big hunk of carrot in there. See how wide that is? You don't want to put that in there, or it won't get done in the same amount of time the potatoes do, and you don't want your potatoes to be falling apart done. So I usually split the carrot in quarters if it's a big one, like that. And of course you can use your chopping block if you and a bigger knife if you want to. Okay, so now we got in our carrots and our potatoes. Since I put a little bit of garlic when I boiled the chicken in there, I'm not going to add extra garlic at this point. I'm going to add a little salt. I did use a bouillon as well. I'm going to use a little salt, pepper. I'm going to take this chicken off the bone and get in here with our veggies. Just don't put any gristle or anything in there. Make sure you do a good job looking it over. It's kind of dark in here today. It's kind of overcast. It's been overcast and raining most of yesterday and today here in St. Mary's, Georgia. Boy, that smells so good, a chicken. It's just so much better if you get a chicken on the bone instead of trying to use breast meat. A lot of people just try to do that to make my chicken and dumplings, and this dish, and it's not the same. Okay, you need to boil a chicken. We got to grab a cream of chicken soup out of the pantry and throw in here right quick. We got the rest of the chicken in there. So I put a can of cream of chicken in my Benefield chicken. Mama didn't, and I do that with chicken and dumplings as well, and Mama didn't, but trust me, it makes them good. And if you have something against canned cream of chicken, then just make it without it. Add a little extra sodium if you need to, but it sure makes it really, really good in the dumplings and in this Benefield chicken. So I recommend you putting it in there. And this recipe is in our first cookbook under poultry. Mix up some biscuits. We got the oven preheated, starting to preheat at 425 degrees. So I'm just going to use self-rising flour. When I use self-rising flour, I don't have to put in the baking powder and the salt. Now we're going to use a 1/4 cup of shortening, and shortening makes better, fluffier biscuits than butter. And a lot of people don't believe that, but if you make them side by side, you'll see the difference. We're going to use a blending fork to blend this together. You press that shortening up against the sides, and these Pyrex bowls are just perfectly shaped for my blending fork. So I have some that aren't Pyrex, but I prefer to get out the Pyrex if I am making biscuits and using my blending fork. So you're going to cut that in until it's about pea size. Don't do it too much. And you do the same thing for a pie crust. Do not cut your shortening in to be tiny. You want it to fluff up and be flaky in the biscuit and the pie crust. Now all we're going to do is add buttermilk, and I use whole buttermilk. If you can't find whole buttermilk, then use the low-fat buttermilk. I would prefer that you do that before you would go to the extreme and mix up, sweet milk and lemon juice, because it doesn't compare. It just doesn't compare in the taste. I'm going to show you the buttermilk down here that comes, that's whole buttermilk. And that is a dairy near us. So if you're in the southern states, you might could get that. So you're just going to mix enough buttermilk to make it cling together. I actually put too much in there when I was talking. So I'm going to add a little flour. It ain't going to hurt it. Sometimes I get to talking and don't pay attention to what I'm doing when I'm videoing. That would be hard for y'all to believe, wouldn't it? Alright. So now we're going to put these out on the counter. And today, I'm not even going to get out my sifter. I'm just going to do it this way. Since I got supper going here. Try to get it all. And then I put some flour on the outside. And you want to knead these a good 7 to 9 times. And especially if you got a lot of milk in them like I just did. I can throw that out because my buttermilk's empty. I just went ahead and used all of it. That way I didn't have to put a tiny bit back in the refrigerator. I did it on purpose. My subconscious mind was probably doing that on purpose, y'all. I probably needed that more, but like I said, it was pretty wet. You want them to be at a nice consistency. I'm gonna cut these about 3/4 of an inch high is what I normally do. Oh, and I need to grease my pan. You're gonna bake these at 450 degrees for 20 minutes. That's how long you're gonna bake them. I love these countertops. If you ever get a countertop, of course granite and stuff probably works good too. I've just never had them. But nice flat surfaces. Tile don't work as good when you're wanting to, you know, work with baking and stuff, biscuits and bread and all that stuff. You need a nice flat surface in the kitchen. So remember that if you're getting you a new kitchen. I might have to put these close together. I made a bunch. Got one left. This is an old biscuit cutter that I got at a thrift store. It's nice and heavy duty. The last one I had that I got like this was, I wore it out and I broke it. So this one's a lot thicker, which I like it better. So lots of times you can go in these thrift stores and find stuff like an old bread pan and stuff like that. And they just, I don't know, I think they cook better. All right, and I'm just gonna wet the tops of them a little bit, like Granny did. With my buttermilk, what was left in the buttermilk jug. All right, we're gonna put these in the oven. Now the last thing that we do for this Benefield chicken is we just simmer it until the vegetables are nice and fork tender. And I'm gonna check on them because it's been over here boiling for a while. They're already really close to fork tender. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on low and thicken it. You're gonna take about 4 tablespoons of heaping. I just use a fork. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then use milk, the gravy in this, a little more. A good cup of milk. I'm gonna use a whisk so that I can get a good beat up. My whisk is hanging right here. Convenient. You really need to beat it good. So don't be shy. Make sure you got it all off the bottom of the bowl. Put it in something big enough you can beat it. Now you can put it in a jar and shake it, but really whisking it does better than the jar. I've done it both ways a million times. It's much better this way. We're gonna put this in our chicken. And that's gonna thicken the broth. You can see it's already started to thicken it. Now I'm just gonna put the lid on it. We're gonna let it simmer until our biscuits come out in 15 minutes, and we're gonna eat. Yummy, this is a good supper. So easy too. All right, we're gonna get out the biscuits. Let's put it all on a plate. I'm gonna show you how we eat it. You open up a biscuit, at least 2, preferably. And let me come over here. Stir it up. I had a lot of broth, so it didn't get real thick, and sometimes it don't. Benefield chicken, and I can tell you right now, I don't have to tell you how good it is and taste it, because we're all gonna go sit down at the table and eat. So thanks for watching Collard Valley Cooks, where we cook like Mama did. And this is my mama's recipe. My maiden name is Benefield, and she named it Benefield chicken. Family recipe. Thanks for watching. Bye. See ya. Love ya.